If you want to change a woman's mind, first you have to change her mood. You need to stop interacting with women as though she is one of your male friends. She's not. She's a woman. She's different. The way that you need to speak to her is different. And if you don't understand that yet, then you need to watch this video.
What are women better at than men?
Everything.
Everything?
Yes.
So there's not one thing men are better at than women?
No.
What about like basketball?
No.
No?
No.
Aren't men like taller and stronger though?
So what?
Wouldn't that make us better at basketball?
Not in my opinion.
We're taller, stronger, faster, and we also play it more. How does that not make us better at basketball?
I don't know, it just doesn't.
So you think like a team of like the best male basketball players in the world would get beaten by a team of the best female basketball players in the world?
Yeah.
I'm going to stop it here. It just goes on and on. I find this guy's clips so amusing to watch because even though he just does them, I think, for entertainment purposes, they're actually really informative because I've seen that dynamic of that conversation play out so many times before, where somebody is emotionally holding on to a position even though it rationally cannot be defended. Like this girl here, she doesn't even try and argue the points. She just feels like that team girl power energy, and she stays true to that emotion. Lots of men believe that women are inherently inconsistent because they'll hear her expressing one opinion on Friday, but on Wednesday they heard her express a completely different opinion. What they don't understand is that women don't really see that as inconsistent. They kind of see that more as like male rigidity, or even if they technically agree that that's inconsistent, it just doesn't feature that high on their value system. Our relationship to consistency is actually a little bit gendered because as men, we have actually evolved instincts to be extremely sensitive to accusations of inconsistency. I can demonstrate this by asking you, the audience member listening right now, if somebody was to call you a hypocrite or to accuse you of being a chameleon who's always just changing your appearance, changing your opinions, to fit in with whatever new environment you're in, that would panic you, right? It should, because as a man, you have a masculine-driven purpose to accumulate respect and responsibility and authority. Essentially, all of those placed on a foundation of trust. And how are you going to get other men to trust and respect you if you are proven to be an inconsistent individual? Nobody is going to trust you if you're just a leaf blowing on the wind, if you're just constantly changing your mind. And so that desire to be consistent is actually driven by evolution into your masculinity. Women are not wired that way, at least not to the same extent as a man. Like probably a woman's not going to enjoy being called a hypocrite or being inconsistent, but it's not going to sting in the same way that it does for a man. She'll probably think, yeah, like I'd like to be consistent, but what's more important to me, what I place as a higher priority, is being true to my emotions. And so my opinions, my perspectives are just going to have to rearrange themselves to suit that. And so in her mind, there's kind of a higher calling of consistency in that she wants to be consistent to her emotions. That clip that we watched earlier, when men watch that, they feel a secondhand embarrassment for the woman. Oh my God, that's just so cringeworthy. Look at her trying to defend these undefendable points. But a woman watching who has the same emotional experience as that woman is probably going to view that completely differently. She doesn't really care about the points that are being made. She's sharing that emotional experience with that other woman, and she views her as being brave and courageous. Like, yeah, you stand up for what's right. You stand up for Team Woman against this awful man who's trying to bully you. When asked to defend that position, she just shrugs it off. It's like, that doesn't matter. It just feels right. So then what exactly are you meant to do if you sincerely want to change a woman's mind? If you want to convince her of something, and logic, reason, rationality, that's probably going to work on a high quality woman. But when you're dealing with a low quality woman, you're just not getting anywhere. Well, this is because you need to first change her mood. Mood comes first, and she's going to follow a good mood wherever it goes. I actually saw this play out with a female friend of mine once. At the time, it made me lose so much respect for her, so I didn't fully understand what was going on. I still don't really respect it, to be honest, but there was this really like high value, really tall, good looking guy who was with her and was saying some pretty ridiculous stuff, and she was just twiddling her hair and giggling at the things that he said. I was thinking, ordinarily, she wouldn't be buying into any of this stuff, but this guy giving her attention, it had put her in a good mood, and she just wanted to follow that good mood wherever it was going. Maybe you've seen this in your personal life, like some girl that you know, if some low-value male was trying to say something controversial to her, she'd probably like shut him up and stand up for herself and really make like a big deal about it. But if some ultra good-looking, successful, confident guy was saying the exact same thing and giving her the tingles, she's just like giggling and nodding like, yeah, I never thought of it like that before, and I can really see where you're coming from. For some low-quality women, they might not even remember what their opinion was 2 days ago talking to the low-value guy. All they know is what they feel right now. Or even if she holds on to like some basis of integrity and wants to be, you know, at least have the appearance of consistency, and so she doesn't just automatically agree with everything the good-looking, confident guy is saying, you're going to find that she's a lot more tolerant of divergent views, you know, a lot more open-minded, like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Too many men are caught up trying to change a woman's mind. They're focusing on the facts, on the logic of the situation, and they're barking up the wrong tree. What they need to be doing is focusing on changing her mood. They need to shift their focus away from what she is thinking and onto what she is feeling. Because here's the bottom line, okay? Here's the real truth. If she's in a bad mood, it doesn't matter what you say. She's going to disagree with you because she wants to be loyal to her mood. And conversely, if she's in a good mood, she's probably going to agree with whatever you're suggesting, or at least be open to it. So stop trying to change her mind. Change her mood. There's nothing more cringeworthy than some guy who's got rejected by a girl. Like, she's like, I'm not interested in you, I don't feel that way about you, and he's logically trying to change her mind, trying to convince her why she should feel attracted towards him. Never gonna work. You cannot logic a girl into finding you attractive. If you want her to desire you, then you have to make her feel something. The key to unlocking women is not in the shape of logic, it's in the shape of emotions. That is the language that women understand. And I'm betting that all the guys who are in long-term relationships listening to this are nodding their heads in agreement. You know what I'm talking about. When it comes to resolving fights with your girlfriend, engaging at her at the logical level is very, very limited in its effectiveness. If she's feeling emotional, then you need to engage with her emotion. The typical situation plays out like this. Like, he gets home from work and he can tell that his girlfriend is in a bad mood. Her emotions are negative that day. And she starts listing off complaints, all these things that she needs to do. She's feeling overwhelmed. This is a long list of tasks that she needs to complete. If he responds to her logically like, I think you're wrong. I don't think there's that many tasks that need to be done. We can put those off for another week, or we can get that done really, really quickly. Therefore, you don't need to be stressed. That's not going to work. She's not going to be grateful that he's told her that her emotions are wrong or irrational. She's going to be pissed off. She's going to be defensive, and the two of them are going to have a fight. It doesn't matter how well presented his logic and rationality are. If he ignores the emotional component of it, the two of them are going to be at loggerheads. So if he's able to resist the temptation to just jump in with logic and rationality, and instead he takes a moment, he takes a pause, and instead he responds to her mood, he's going to have lots more success. He needs to say something like, that sounds really, really overwhelming. I'm sorry you've had to deal with that emotion all day. You've probably been feeling really anxious. That's going to be a lot more effective. And if the two of them have a good relationship so that she trusts him with her emotions, that's going to have the effect of calming her down. Like, yes, thank you for validating what it is that I feel. Thank you for sharing that with me. But in responding to her mood, he's not ignoring the issue of whether or not there's actually a lot of tasks to complete. He's just putting that temporarily to the side. Like, okay, like, let's talk about the emotions first. Let me comfort you. Let me validate you. Let me make you feel visible in what you're going through. And hopefully through that, improve her mood, put her in a good mood, so that ultimately, when perhaps he makes the suggestion, you know what, I've been thinking about it, there's actually not that much stuff that we need to do. I bet we could knock out a lot of it in like an hour or two. Should we get into it? Then suddenly she's like, yeah, okay, I think I'm ready for that. And she's excited at his suggestion. There's no fight, there's no argument, there's nothing. In fact, the two of them are closer. And he was able to achieve that because he wasn't focused on changing her mind. He understood first he had to change her mood. Now, I want to finish this video by explicitly stating that this phenomenon of emotions coming before logic is not really exclusively gendered. This is not a situation where it's like all women are like this and all men are like that. I bet a lot of you guys who have used this technique have probably also used it on men. Like, you understood if you wanted to ask your dad for a favor or you wanted some time off from your boss, it's a good idea to wait until those guys are in a good mood because they're more likely to say yes. So you see, it's somewhat universal with both men and women. I think the research has shown quite conclusively that even though we think we're often making logical decisions, it's actually the emotional component that comes first. But the reason why I didn't start off with that disclaimer, and I did make this video more specifically about women, is because I do think that there's a component that is gendered, in that I do think women don't have the same sting when it comes to the accusation of inconsistency that men do. And through that, they actually have a lot more free space and opportunity to indulge their emotions. Whereas for men, we feel a lot of pressure to always be consistent, and emotional repression is often the means that we have to go through in order to achieve that consistency. So it's like, okay, well, I actually feel like I want to change my mind, but I already said that, so I just have to not feel that way. That's something that a lot more men can relate to than women can relate to. But in the end, I hope that this video has just served as an important reminder that you need to pay attention to the emotional component of life. Perhaps as a man, you haven't had a lot of encouragement or practice in that area, but I'm telling you, the emotions play a huge role in people's decision making, in our values, and in our relationships. And so you ignore that side of life at your own peril.